Our planet is just one among many in space. Unless you're an astronaut or a friend of Elon Musk, your chances of leaving Earth are zero. But scientists have imagined what life would look like on other planets anyway. Let's find out what we would see and hear if we didn't live on Earth. Mercury. Mercury is closest to the Sun, and it's the smallest planet in our system. Temperatures here range from -120 to 420 degrees Celsius. Meteorites fall here all the time, and it would be difficult to live here. The Sun is 200% bigger in Mercury's sky than it is on Earth. Sturdy sunglasses would be necessary on this planet. The planet has no atmosphere, so the brightly lit night sky is devoid of light. This means that if you look up at the sky, you can just see space. Like everywhere else in space, no one can hear you scream, particularly on Mercury. But if we could hear electromagnetic waves, the galaxy would be quite noisy. NASA, however, has developed a probe that helps us hear them. By converting the electromagnetic vibrations of celestial bodies into sound waves, it has turned the noise of space into something audible. And the tone, loudness, and pitch of the sounds depend on the size, speed, and composition of the planet. When the probe was pointed at Mercury, this is what it produced. Venus. The average temperature on Venus is 480 degrees Celsius, making it the hottest planet in the Milky Way. Just like Venus, the Roman goddess of beauty, it is truly astonishing. But it has constant volcanic eruptions and acid rain. Even NASA can't envision surviving on this planet. Due to Venus's dense, heavy atmosphere, any movement would feel like being deep underwater. If you could lift your head, you'd see a pale orange-colored sky. But because of the heavy clouds, you wouldn't see stars, and the sun would only be visible in areas where the atmosphere isn't as dense. Sound would be muffled because of the density of the atmosphere, but you would be able to hear it, unlike Mercury, which is eerily silent. Mercury's inaudible wobble sounds like the roar of a rocket. On Venus, on the other hand, the sound is like the long beat of a gong. Listen. Mars. Mars is similar to Earth in size and has several seasons with temperatures ranging from -120 to 20 degrees Celsius. Although it is believed that humans can travel to Mars, it is worth considering the deadly levels of radiation, the abundance of carbon dioxide, and almost constant dust storms that are difficult to deal with. Mars's atmosphere is only 1% as thick as ours, and it's not very protective, but it does add some color to its sky. When the sun crosses the horizon, the sky is blue in color. As the sun moves, it takes on a red hue. Sometimes at noon, the sky becomes the color of fresh beer, but without the foam. The rest of the time, however, it has a red and bright orange hue. Since there are no clouds on Mars, the stars are perfectly visible at night. But you'd be hard-pressed to let out a loud, enthusiastic "wow" at the sight of a clear, starry sky. Mars's thin atmosphere doesn't transmit sound waves well and reduces even the loudest shout to a whisper. So when scientists sent a probe to the red planet, this is what they heard. It reminds me of the soundtrack to some old Western, Jupiter's moon, Europa. Let me start by saying that it's impossible to live on Jupiter. It's always stormy and the planet is made of gas. But scientists believe its moon Europa is habitable. It has low radiation, enough liquid water, and a fairly stable structure. Europa could be a good first step into the galaxy. The sky here is a spectacular sight. You can always see Jupiter in it, and it's more than 20 times larger than our moon. Occasionally, Europa would be able to see one of the other 59 moons of the gas giant orbiting around it. The gravity here is like our moon's, but Europa has no real atmosphere, so like Mercury, the sky will just be a panoramic view of space. Although sound travels very poorly through Europa's very thin atmosphere, you can sometimes hear thunder coming from Jupiter's red spot. But mostly the sound on this moon would be very strange and mysterious. As Voyager flew past Jupiter and its moons, it recorded this. And why does space sound so creepy? Saturn's moon Titan. Because of its rings, many people think of Saturn as the jewel of the solar system, but we could never live on it. But that's not the case with its largest moon, Titan. It's the only moon in the Milky Way with a dense atmosphere and normal clouds, and it's ideal for settlement because there are no storms or cyclones. Titan is also suitable for stargazing. If you stand on one of its hills, you can see the sky covered in an orange haze. And if you squint your eyes, you can see Saturn and its huge rings on the horizon. But due to the dense atmosphere, you'll have a hard time seeing anything else. Sound waves have a lot to bounce off. So, Titan is a very noisy place. Because its atmosphere is about 400 times denser than ours, any sound would seem quite unfamiliar to us. If you convert Titan's electromagnetic waves into sound waves, you get something like this. Uranus's moon Miranda. Let's talk about Uranus. Let's talk about its moon. Uranus has 27 moons, and several of them could potentially be habitable. But according to scientists, Miranda is the most interesting. Although it's terribly cold, down to minus 184 degrees Celsius. There's a lot to explore on Miranda. It's practically gravity-less, which means it has essentially no atmosphere. So if you were to settle here, you would be constantly exposed to powerful radiation. The sky on Miranda, like on Europa, would be cloudless and the color of fresh asphalt. You could see Uranus from the moon, but the sun would just be a bright dot on the horizon. In terms of communication, due to the lack of atmosphere, we would have to use gestures, and the electromagnetic frequencies of Uranus would sound something like this. Neptune's moon Triton. Because Neptune is a gas planet, it has almost no solid surface, but on its moon, Triton, settlements could be established, although it would be dangerous. It has a temperature of minus 240 degrees Celsius and is the coldest object in the solar system. Although Triton's atmosphere is denser than many other planets and moons, it doesn't color the sky. The area closer to the horizon may be covered with a whitish haze, but the rest of the sky is black. So you can see space here too, and Neptune visible in the sky would be 10 times larger than our moon. Although Triton doesn't have the conditions for sound to pass through, the atmosphere here isn't dense enough, and it only conducts loud noises. So we would have to shout. The surface of the moon is quiet, but its electromagnetic activity is something else entirely. It's hard to characterize. Just listen. Pluto. Pluto takes 248 years to complete one revolution around the Sun. It's a cold, unfriendly planet. It has very strong radiation, and the temperature would kill us. Everything we know about Pluto is known thanks to NASA's New Horizon, which means now scientists want to learn as much as they can about this planet. Pluto's sky will be different depending on the time. When this dwarf planet is close to the Sun and the gases in the atmosphere melt, it forms a thin blue haze. As it moves away from the Sun, the gases around Pluto freeze again, and the sky becomes just dark and clear. Regardless of the time of year, the Sun will just be a dot on the horizon. Because of the thin atmosphere on Pluto, there is always an eerie silence. So you won't hear your teeth chattering from the cold. So it's probably for the best, but the probes have detected noises that sound like the sucking of helium through a tunnel. Close your eyes and listen. Reminds me of high school music lessons, doesn't it? Kepler 186f. In 2014, NASA discovered a planet that may be suitable for human life. Kepler 186f. There are no actual images of this planet's sky, but scientists have hypothesized what it looks like. Kepler's sun is dim, and so the sky always appears the same color as ours an hour before sunset. Scientists know little about the color during sunrises and sunsets, but due to its proximity to the sun, they would be brighter and clearer than ours. Other planets in this solar system would be visible in the night sky, but they would be hard to see properly because of their size and the bright light of the sun. The gravity is probably strong enough for a breathable atmosphere, but the composition is unknown. So we can't say what our voices would sound like on Kepler. Because of the remoteness of this planet, the recorded electromagnetic waves sound very faint, but it's still interesting. (1024) Tatooine, home of Luke and Anakin Skywalker. Tatooine is an important part of the Star Wars universe. The geography of this planet is as interesting as a paper bag, but its skies are a different story. It has two suns instead of one. Scientists used to think that such a binary system was impossible and that competing gravitational forces would tear the planet apart. But recently, scientists have discovered systems with two suns, so it's possible. But would the planet really dry up from the heat of two stars, as George Lucas suggested? After all, the planet is too close to them. Scientists think it won't. The seasonal variation on Tatooine would be stronger than on Earth, but the planet wouldn't be as desolate as it is in the movies. However, there would be few clouds because of the sun, which means the beautiful sunsets shown in Star Wars are quite possible. And what about the color of the sky on a proper Tatooine? It all depends on the composition of the atmosphere of such a planet. If the atmosphere is composed of Earth-like gases, then everything would sound about the same as on our home planet. What did Gregory Laughlin, the exoplanet specialist, say when he was asked if it was possible to live in a world like Tatooine? He replied, "I'd say Tatooine is the most realistic depiction of a world in another galaxy." I guess Jabba the Hutt really does live there. Would you like to visit those planets and satellites? And did any of the recordings of the sounds I showed you scare you? Tell me in the comments below the video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the Another Space channel. Bye, everybody!